Master Naofumi, what do you think about this? Does it look good on me?
Yeah, it looks real good. And you kind of look like a ninja girl, Risha.
What's a ninja girl?
Master Naofumi, if you had to choose between all of us, who do you think has the best outfit here?
That's easy. Since mine has the highest defense stat here, I think it's obvious which one is the best.
Bruh.
Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Geek News Anime Night, where in this particular portion of it, we are discussing Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. We are now officially 8 episodes in, and yeah, I'm your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drac. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And joining me, obviously, is my lovely wife, Andrea. Andrea, how does it feel that we only have 5 episodes left? At this point, I think you're just excited to move on to something else. Nothing against, well, kind of everything against this season. It's been a little lackluster. Although the last episode did kind of change the status quo a bit, and we were both kind of interested in that. So now we have a new status quo to get into with episode 8. And I guess we should answer this age-old question. Is it warm enough and or cold enough for you?
That has nothing to do with it.
It actually does, because we will be dealing with snow in this episode.
Oh.
We will be talking episode 8, A Parting in the Snow. So, for those who are binge watching this, or binge listening to this, you don't have to worry about it, but we were in the Infinite Labyrinth, and then we got out, or our party got out, and now they are in Kizuna's world. And by world, I mean not Japan, but close. It's the world she was summoned to as a vassal hero. Because I think, yeah, she's not a cardinal hero, right? Or maybe she is. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It's been a while. She's a monster hunter hero. Let's put it that way. That's the best way to do it. So, yeah, we ended up in a whole new world, and this is very feudal Japan, safe to say. A lot of the kingdoms, very feudal Japan. And now that they are here in this new world, Kizuna basically says that where they're at currently is not safe for specifically demi-humans. So Raftalia isn't safe, but also I believe both Naofumi and Risha would have issues just because they're not familiar with this world. And so her plan basically is to... Oh, yeah, and also, I didn't mention this in the Infinite Labyrinth, because it wasn't really relevant, but now it is. Kizuna apparently pissed off some people in her world, and that's what got her exiled into the Infinite Labyrinth. So at that point, they actually currently are in the land where she broke the laws that she broke. So they need to get out, because they're also traveling with Kizuna, and Kizuna is very notorious at this point. So the answer to that is that Kizuna basically says, we need to go to, and I swear I heard it this way, the nation of Sequel. Was I the only one that heard that?
I don't even know what it is, so...
Well, I heard sequel. Did you hear sequel?
No, I didn't even
It turns out it's sickle. So it said sequel. S-I-K-U-L. So I'm like, why do you have to go to the nation of sequel? Shouldn't you go to the nation of trilogy first? Secure your rights? And the only way that they're going to be able to do it is they need to get access to a dragon hourglass. Thankfully, those exist in this world too. But since Kizuna is the one who's native to this world, she's the only one who can use it. By basically using her teleporting ability to be able to teleport to Sequel. So it basically becomes a journey from where they're at currently to be able to go to the nation's capital of, I think it was called Mikakage. Yeah, Mikakage, where that is, and then they would be able to get out of that nation. So it's a lot of, we're going to travel for a little bit, we're going to gather XP, we're going to try and obtain some money. They don't really get new gear, and XP is difficult to come by, because they actually admitted a couple times, like when they were traveling on the road, the monsters that they were fighting weren't really giving them much. However, I'm not sure about that, because they were taking each other's potions or other consumables and getting experience from that.
That's interesting.
Did you not notice that? Like, because Kizuna gave Naofumi a spell stone. He crushed it, and he got 3,000 XP off of it.
It's a soul stone.
Well, we all know what to do with soul stones. That is not break them. Not unless you're at the Hellforge. See, I'm already mentioning a game that you don't even know.
Yeah.
That has soul stones in it. So we have a little bit of that going on, but basically, since Mikakage is if they wanted to go to sequel, it was like a week on foot to travel, but Mikakage was like 3 days. So they actually stop off in a local village where Naofumi and Rishia and Raftalia get to learn a lot more about this world. And in this world, there's actually a lot more depth when it comes to races and whatnot, because there aren't necessarily demi-humans in this world, but there are a lot of other races. And in particular, it sounds to me like a majority of Glass's party is from this world. Because Glass is part of a race that belongs in this world called spirits, which are basically just like ghostly humans, which have great deals of power, but ultimately cannot use any kind of potions or any kind of healing implements because they don't do anything for them. And that's actually how they decide to earn some money. I'll get to that in a minute. We also learn about Teresa's people that are called, I think they were called jewels?
Gems or jewels?
Gems or jewels or something like that. But basically, they're people that have gems in their foreheads, and that would explain why Therese was walking around with a headband, and they're the ones who can communicate to gems and use their power and all that. And apparently, Therese is a very powerful jewel or gem, whatever she is. So we know that for a fact that Glass and Therese are from this world. Kizuna, it sounds like, isn't, obviously, because she's a vassal hero summoned. I wonder if Lark isn't either, because he does have a vassal weapon, and he does kind of reference all the Japanese stuff. So I wonder if he isn't from the world, but they are. So we learn all of that, and we also learned that Naofumi apparently can make a potion that heals spirits, and it actually just gives them more spell points, so that they can continue to do their abilities. So it's a healing item that works on a race that not much works on them. So they basically decide, okay, well, we'll make a bunch of these soul potions, and we'll sell them, and they get a bunch of money so that they can properly travel to Mikakage. And one part in particular was very funny because they come back the next day saying, oh, well, we don't have that much left. And there's a bunch of these spirit travelers who are just like, I need this really bad. And I guess Naofumi told Kizuna to trip Raftalia so that a majority of the bottles...
I thought she tripped Rishia.
No, Raftalia was the one that was holding it, I think.
I didn't think.
No, it was Rishia. Because she had one of the masks on.
Yeah, because I'm like,
she had the one that I'm gonna affectionately call the glory hole mask.
Well, because I'm like that, I could see Rishia tripping over more than I would see Raftalia.
So yeah, Kizuna intentionally tripped Rishia, which broke all but one bottle of the soul potion, and so they basically sold that for a huge amount. And then got the necessary supplies they needed, including weapons, armor, all that stuff, which is good because they were still using the basic armor that they got from the Infinite Labyrinth. So now they have outfits that are more reflective of the time. Naofumi looks like a shogun, basically. Rishio looks like his ninja companion, or no, his kunoichi companion. And Raftalia just looks like a cute little girl who's ready for the autumn festival. So, and the best part is like Raftalia is pissed over all of this because she wants to be treated. She's like, I want to be treated like an adult, and then she has like another kid issue, and they're all like, "Oh, that's so cute." Poor Raftalia. She just doesn't get it. She just doesn't get any respect in this world, none at all. So ultimately, what did you think about all of this stuff before we got to Mikakage? All the cuteness and all of the swindling people out of their money.
I just find it funny and hilarious to see Naofumi just doing that whole auction.
I like that moment. I also liked a lot of the lore about this world. Like, there's a bunch of different races, but demi-humans don't really exist. And I love that every time Naofumi made a comparison of, like, this person's like this, Risha's like, what's that? So, like, when they're looking at the spirits, they just so happen to have pointy ears. And I think they said that they live for a long time. And so he's like, oh, so they're like elves. And Risha's like, what are elves? And this was like her thing the whole time. It's like, what are these? And also Raftalia. Raftalia did it a little bit. So I like that gag stuff. I love the stuff with Raftalia. It was super cute. Especially since she's, we all know she's a lot older than she is, or than she seems. And she was still making very kiddie mistakes, which was funny. So I thought that part was cute. When we got to Mikakage is where we had a little bit more of a serious concept. For a couple of reasons. One, I guess they were working on a technology that will allow average human beings to be able to use the Dragon Hourglass teleport. And we'll get more into that because it's more plot oriented, but they basically get there and the first demonstration, quote, demonstration has happened. We say that because nobody was in there except for the people who were doing it. So already that's kind of fishy, right? And apparently the guy Kazuki who did it was like, "Oh yes, I'm totally great, and now we'll be able to do this," and basically being very loud about it. So the question that I have to ask you, Andrea, is like, you saw all of this happening. Was your spider sense going off on the whole situation?
The what?
Like, were you having red flags coming up?
About what?
About them basically announcing that this teleportation was working and being very vocal about it. And also, nobody got to see it work, aside from, like, the village headman, the two guardians of Kazuki, and Kazuki himself.
I guess. I mean...
Because I will tell you right here now, I had red flags going up the whole time. I'm like, oh, this just reeks of trap. But they decide, because it starts snowing, which is apparently the first time Risha and Raftalia have ever seen snow. Are you kidding me? Really? Like,
maybe it doesn't snow in Melremark or something.
But Melremark looked pretty temperate.
I don't know.
Like, it didn't look like an ocean kingdom or anything like that. It's pretty based on land. They never had snow? Well, they basically decide to go find an inn so that Risha and Raftalia don't freeze. And basically do their plan from there. And that was that they ultimately decide they're going to sneak in to the Dragon Hourglass, and they're going to use the teleport so that they can get out of there. And there's some debate on whether or not they should do it at night or they should do it during the day. And I think the issue was if they did it, they'd probably be spotted during the day. And if they actually did have like a bounty for Kizuna, then people would have to collect. So they decide, okay, we're going to do this overnight. To which they do. And we have the nighttime montage of trying to sneak into this place. And when they get to the room with the Dragon Hourglass, boom, brick wall. And now, oh noes, it's a trap! So now the village's guards are swarming them and trying to make sure that they get caught. And they basically... It becomes a montage, ultimately, of them just running away. And then they decide to split up. And when they split up, Raftalia gets, I guess, sick and tired of running into brick walls, so she decides to slice one open. And then they can finally get into the Dragon Hourglass room. And turns out that was the part of the trap all along, is they wanted to wait for Kizuna to activate the ability, because, spoiler alert, Kazuki was working for Kyo all along. Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that. I thought he might have been another hero, but turns out no, he was just like a business partner of Kyo. And Kyo is there. He's basically the one doing the teleport spell, making it look like it's technology And instead, what it seems like is they're going to charge people an arm and a leg to let them teleport. And so Kyo will benefit from that. So they start the teleport up, but Raftalia is not allowed to go with them. We're not sure why, but Kyo is somehow making it so that Raftalia cannot be teleported because he wants to, and I quote, conduct some experiments on Raftalia. Well, we all know how Naofumi feels about that. He's very mad, but ultimately Raftalia says, it's okay, Naofumi, it's okay, Master Naofumi, I will hold them off while you get out of here, and then you can come and rescue me, kind of thing. And ultimately goes to challenge the guards in Kazuki, and the teleport happens. And that's where the episode ends. So Kizuna, Naofumi, and Rishia teleport off, but Raftalia is not allowed to join them. So now we have additional stakes, because they still haven't found Philo yet. And now Raftalia is taken prisoner. And that's where we're going into episode 9. What did you think about the whole thing with Kyo wanting to experiment on Raftalia?
Makes you want to know what he wants to do.
It's not any creepy purposes. He basically made it sound like he was going to dissect her to figure out like her unique properties or whatever. So it sounds bad, but he didn't have that, pervy kind of sound to it.
No.
I thought the whole trap was pretty spot on. Like, it makes sense that they would do that. And also the fact that Kyo was involved in the teleporting. That was actually kind of what I was wondering, if like maybe another vassal hero was behind it. And either we were going to meet a new character or we were going to catch up with Kyo. I kind of wished it wasn't Kyo. I think it would have been a good idea to have him hold back for a little bit, but I guess he's going to be the overseeing villain for a while. So what did this episode do right for you, Andrea?
Just the humor in some of it. It was fun to watch.
How did you feel about kind of setting up the new rules of this world? So there's new races, new circumstances, new currencies, and so you had a lot of banter between Naofumi and Kizuna about the comparisons of like between this and Japan and all that. So what did you think about all the lore basically building this new world?
It's interesting to see something different.
It's interesting considering that we thought for a little bit there we weren't going to be there that long. Like they were going to capture Kyo and bring him back, right? Now it sounds to me like maybe they'll be there a while, especially since they emphasized a couple of times there that the countdown for this world is up and running. And when they start, it's 10 days until the next wave. And then I think by the end of this episode, it's like 5.5 days.
Something like that.
Until the next wave. So it's very interesting that they might actually have to deal with a wave in between trying to get Raftalia and Philo back and trying to track down Kyo. And for the record, we still haven't run across Glass, Therese, and Lark yet. We don't even know if they're here. Ultimately, they might be off in another world, looking for Kyo, and they just don't know he's here. So, any other things this episode did right for you?
No.
I thought that a lot of the explanation was very helpful, especially with Kizuna and Naofumi basically acting like we would think they would. Like they're comparing it to the surroundings that they're aware of, which Rishio was kind of doing too. I don't know if you noticed that. She was kind of comparing what she knows of her world to this and trying to understand it. Raftalia, not so much, but she was a little bit more focused on what she has to deal with as a young demi-human now.
Mm-hmm.
I especially loved anytime they had a meal, she was basically eyeing everybody else's plates like Philo.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't want to do that, but I'm hungry. So it was kind of good. I liked it. What did this episode do wrong?
I think we just all find it funny that Glass knew about the bottle or something, and she's like, no, it's something that's not common in this world.
Yeah, that was another thing that got brought up. That's why Naofumi had the idea to sell them, is because he saw who was it, Lark or Therese give it to her in the islands, in the archipelago, and then she was ready to go again. They also did make a couple of comparisons to why she could only take specific damage and why his Soul Eater shield was the only one that worked. But they didn't cover the one that I wanted to know, which was why the potent frickin' alcohol fruit weakened her. In fact, they kind of made it sound like it shouldn't have done that. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to watch it again, but I think that's what they were saying.
Maybe there was something that affects the spirits. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a little bit more there. I will say one thing I think was a bad idea is that Kyo showed up so quickly. Because it actually would have... The way that they set up Kyo is that he would be smart enough to lay low and make sure that he's not caught. So I'm kind of surprised that he attached himself to a plan that would give him a lot of notoriety. They tried to explain it away with he just wanted to see the dumb look on Naofumi's face, but I don't entirely buy it. So I'm a little disappointed by that, but only a little. Mostly this episode I think has been fairly good. So with that, out of 5, what would you give Parting in the Snow?
I would say a 4.
Okay. And the reason it's not a 5?
Why would I want to give it a 5?
No, I'm just saying, like, what did it do wrong that it got a lower score?
It was just a nice, just a mellow type of.
I kind of get
episode.
what you're kind of saying. Hopefully others do too. But for me, I would only give it a 3, and the only reason I would is because it's a C. It's establishing new worlds, new stakes, new everything like that. But these episodes aren't necessarily meant to be like huge cliffhangers or anything like that. They're not anchors for huge amounts of drama. So it's a C episode. It's what it's supposed to be. So there you go. And that'll go ahead and do it for this episode of Rising of the Shield Hero Season 2. So when we come back, we have 5 more episodes of this, and then we get to move on to the next thing. Holy crap. It's only taken us like most of this year to get this season done. But yeah, thankfully we will have that going. And also you guys can look forward to a bunch of other stuff because we are now going to be recording our reviews of the movies that we watched when we were on vacation. So you guys can look forward to that. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for your continued support. We appreciate that. Make sure to give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. We appreciate that. And also give us a like and a review on all the podcast platforms we're on. Amazon Podcast, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Player.fm, and Spotify. We would very much like to be able to hear from you guys on stuff maybe that you would like us to address or other series that maybe you want us to take on. And also leave us a comment down below what you thought of this episode. We actually like being able to have that discussion with you guys and see like where you were at as compared to where we were. But we will be back next time for episode 9 of Shield Hero Season 2. Until then, have a good one, everybody.